The Stoic mindset, forging an impenetrable shield against modern horrors. Have you ever experienced a moment when the very fabric of reality seemed to rip apart, revealing a chilling abyss of uncertainty, fear, or genuine horror beneath? In our rapidly accelerating world, the sense of stability often feels like a fragile illusion. From the relentless barrage of global crises to the deeply personal terrors that can strike without warning, be it profound loss, existential dread, or the chilling realization of vulnerability, our minds are constantly challenged. These aren't just minor stresses, they are the architects of chaos, the purveyors of fear, and the designers of modern psychological horror. But what if the profound, battle-tested wisdom of ancient Stoics offered not just solace, but a comprehensive, impenetrable shield against these contemporary assaults on our peace and sanity? Welcome back to the Stoic Forge. Today we embark on our most extensive journey yet into the heart of Stoic philosophy. We will meticulously dissect its most advanced and transformative applications, revealing how the timeless insights of figures like Zeno, Cleanthes, Chrysippus, Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius provide a complete arsenal for understanding, confronting, and ultimately transcending the overwhelming chaos, the paralyzing fear, and the insidious horror that permeates our present age. This is far beyond mere coping. This is about actively forging an unyielding inner citadel, a mind so robust, so clear-sighted, and so deeply anchored in reality that it can not only withstand the fiercest storms, but can harness their energy to cultivate unparalleled strength, profound wisdom, and an unshakable inner peace. This is the ultimate self-mastery, the profound liberation from the tyranny of external circumstance and the often deceptive whispers of our own anxious minds. The foundation of freedom, the dichotomy of control. Deepened, our expedition begins, as always, with the dichotomy of control. But now we must internalize its radical implications at a cellular level. This fundamental tenet, first articulated by Zeno of Citium and rigorously developed by Chrysippus, isn't just a mental model. It's a profound declaration of war against self-inflicted suffering. It's deceptively simple. Some things are within our control and most are not. However, the true mastery lies in discerning this distinction in the heat of a crisis, when panic screams and emotions threaten to hijack our reason. Consider the horrifying unpredictability of a widespread disaster, like a pandemic or a massive natural catastrophe, where events unfold with a terrifying autonomy. Our primal response is often a frantic, desperate attempt to control the uncontrollable, to halt the spread of a disease, to command the forces of nature, to prevent what has already begun. This futile struggle, this desperate grasping for what cannot be held, is precisely what transmutes discomfort into agony, fear into terror, and uncertainty into overwhelming chaos. The ancient Stoics, who lived through plagues, famines, and the capricious whims of emperors, understood this deeply. Epictetus, a former slave, spoke with authority when he stated, "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters, so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control." By relentlessly applying this principle, by consciously and consistently releasing our grip on externalities, we liberate vast reserves of mental and emotional energy. This energy, previously squandered on futile attempts to bend reality to our will, can now be redirected towards our inner domain, our judgments, our attitudes, our values, and our actions. This radical internal shift, a cornerstone of Stoic practice since its inception, transforms us from reactive victims to proactive architects of our internal reality, armed with a focus that cuts through the densest fog of panic and horror. It is the first, most crucial step toward an unassailable inner freedom, piercing the veil of deception. Advanced impression examination. Building upon this foundation, the Stoic engages in the continuous, almost surgical practice of examining impressions. This discipline, refined by generations of Stoic thinkers, recognizes that fear, in its most insidious and paralyzing forms, rarely arises from reality itself, but rather from our distorted perceptions and interpretations of it. It magnifies threats, invents dangers, and conjures worst-case scenarios with vivid, almost hallucinatory detail. A peculiar sound in the night becomes a lurking monster. An ambiguous email transforms into a harbinger of doom. Seneca, with his profound understanding of human psychology, observed that We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We are afflicted with false opinions. The Stoic does not merely accept these initial, often terrifying impressions as truth. Instead, they pause, breathe, and subject each impression to rigorous, rational scrutiny. Is this truly a fact? Or is it merely an opinion, colored by my anxiety and past experiences? What verifiable evidence supports this fear? Is it concrete, or a product of speculation? Am I reacting to the event itself, or to a terrifying narrative my own mind is constructing, fueled by biases and past traumas? This metacognitive awareness, the ability to think about our thinking and to question our own automatic responses, is utterly vital. It is like shining a powerful high-definition spotlight into the shadowy, monster-infested corners of the mind, revealing that the lurking horrors are often just benign objects distorted by fear. By habitually questioning, dissecting, and reevaluating our first impressions, we systematically dismantle the very architecture of irrational fear and horror. We reclaim our cognitive faculties from the grip of raw, unfiltered emotion, empowering us to see situations with unvarnished clarity and thus respond with wisdom rather than reflexive panic or paralyzing dread. This is an active, ongoing mental discipline, crucial for dismantling the psychological structures of terror and reclaiming sovereignty over our inner world. Inoculating the soul, the profound practice of Premeditatio Malorum. To truly inoculate ourselves against the overwhelming psychological impact of genuine horror and profound chaos, the Stoic advances their practice of Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils, into its most profound and comprehensive discipline. This is not a casual reflection on minor setbacks. It is a deliberate, systematic, and unflinching confrontation with our deepest, most primal existential terrors. The very thought of contemplating profound loss, excruciating physical pain, the terror of complete destitution, the agony of irreversible decline, or the ultimate erasure of one's consciousness is often instinctively avoided. Yet the Stoic, drawing on the courage advocated by Epictetus and the practical wisdom of Seneca, deliberately walks through these scenarios in their mind. They allow themselves to feel the initial discomfort, the raw pang of apprehension, but they do not wallow in it or invite despair. Instead, they dispassionately analyze, if this absolute worst-case scenario were to unfold, how would I respond? What virtues would I call upon? What resources, both internal and external, could I possibly muster? What remains within my control even then? This is not morbid fascination. It is the most potent form of psychological inoculation. By regularly exposing ourselves to these mentally visualized horrors, we gradually strip them of their power to shock, paralyze, and overwhelm us when they inevitably arrive. We realize that while external events can inflict pain, and even profound suffering, they cannot, ultimately, rob us of our fundamental internal freedom to choose our attitude, our character, and our response. As Seneca powerfully articulated, he who considers himself fortunate, whatever his lot, is a wise man. The greatest hindrance to life is expectation, which depends upon tomorrow and wastes today. This advanced practice builds an almost impervious inner fortitude. It allows us to face actual catastrophe not with shock and panic, but with a prepared mind, reducing the emotional overwhelm to manageable levels and enabling deliberate, effective action. It transforms the truly awful from an unexpected terror into a challenge we have, in a sense, already walked through, mentally processed, and chosen to overcome. Embracing destiny, the transformative power of Amor Fati. In the crucible of true chaos and profound despair, one of the most radical, challenging, yet ultimately liberating Stoic principles is Amor Fati, the love of fate. This is not a passive or fatalistic resignation. It is an active, profound, and almost joyful affirmation of everything that occurs, viewing it as an indispensable and perfect ingredient in the grand cosmic design. This concept, deeply explored by Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations as he faced the constant challenges of empire, war, and plague, demands a complete revolution in our perspective. When tragedy strikes, when chaos engulfs our lives, when a deeply personal horror unfolds, our immediate human impulse is to rage against it, to cry out, "Why me? Why this? It shouldn't be happening." This futile resistance, this desperate wishing for an alternate reality, only perpetuates and deepens our suffering, creating a second layer of pain entirely of our own making. Amor Fati demands that we cease this futile resistance. It asks us to do more than just tolerate, it demands that we embrace. We are called to see every event, every suffering, every loss, every moment of fear or despair, not as a random misfortune to be endured, but as a uniquely tailored opportunity for the development of our character, a bespoke lesson from existence itself. Marcus Aurelius consistently reminded himself, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This profound shift in perspective transmutes suffering into purpose, despair into determination, and passive endurance into active growth. It allows us to not just survive the storm, but to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate because of it. It's the ultimate antidote to the victim mentality, fostering an indomitable spirit that finds meaning and purpose even in the most horrifying or chaotic situations. By choosing to love what happens, we integrate it into our being, making ourselves unbreakable. The unbreakable compass. Virtue as our ultimate guide. When external order crumbles and familiar comforts vanish, the Stoics' unwavering focus on right action and virtue becomes the ultimate and most reliable anchor. Seneca, despite his immense wealth and political power, consistently emphasized that true security lies not in external possessions, which are fleeting, but in the cultivation of an unshakable moral character. He knew that material wealth could vanish in an instant, but virtue, once cultivated, could never be taken away. Consider a societal breakdown, a time of widespread panic where self-interest and lawlessness begin to reign. The Stoic, guided by virtues like courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance, stands as a beacon of stability and reason. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it, to face danger with rational determination and integrity. Justice demands we consider the well-being of our fellow humans, to extend compassion and aid even when our own resources are strained or our own fear is profound. Wisdom guides us to make rational, informed decisions amidst widespread misinformation and panic, to discern what is truly helpful from what is merely impulsive or destructive. Temperance helps us maintain self-control, avoiding succumbing to fear-driven hoarding, reckless behavior, or self-destructive indulgences. In a chaotic world, clinging to these virtues provides a profound sense of purpose, meaning, and genuine internal control. Our internal integrity, as passionately taught by Seneca, becomes our most reliable compass, leading us to contribute to order and humanity, rather than being swept away by the currents of chaos and fear. Each virtuous act, no matter how small, is a defiant assertion of order against disorder, a beacon of light in the encroaching darkness, the cosmic embrace, living in accordance with nature. Finally, the Stoics' understanding of living in accordance with nature deepens significantly in the face of extreme fear and chaos, drawing heavily from the core teachings of Zeno, Cleanthes, and Epictetus. This isn't merely about environmental harmony, it's about aligning ourselves with the fundamental rationality and interconnectedness of existence, and accepting the natural order of the cosmos. When primal fear threatens to regress us to our most animalistic instincts, Epictetus would remind us of our higher faculty, reason, our unique human capacity for logic and moral choice. When despair tempts us towards isolation, he would underscore our inherent social nature, recognizing that our well-being is intrinsically linked to the well-being of others, that we are all parts of a larger whole. This also means embracing the radical acceptance of impermanence, of health, wealth, relationships, and even life itself. This acceptance, cultivated through constant reflection on mortality, memento mori, and the cycles of nature, alleviates the intense suffering that comes from desperately clinging to what is destined to pass. By living in harmony with these universal truths, by accepting the grand flow of cause and effect, we detach ourselves from the anxieties of possession and the terror of loss, finding a deeper, more enduring peace in the grand, unfolding tapestry of existence itself. Epictetus taught us to view the world with a cosmic perspective, shrinking our individual troubles against the backdrop of eternity. This vast perspective allows us to observe fear as a natural but fleeting response, one that can be managed and transcended rather than being ruled by it. We become like the ancient, deeply rooted oak, battered by storms but remaining unmoved, because its foundation is solid and aligned with the very ground it stands upon. The unconquerable citadel, attaining ataraxia amidst horror. The rigorous and continuous application of these profound Stoic disciplines, honed through the collective wisdom of Zeno, Cleanthes, Chrysippus, Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, culminates in the state of Ataraxia, a profound and unshakable tranquility of mind, a deep serenity that transcends all external disturbance. This is not apathy, nor is it an aloof indifference to suffering. It is the ultimate liberation that comes from knowing you have done everything within your power, accepted everything beyond it, and maintained your integrity and reason throughout. When true horror manifests, when chaos reigns supreme, the Stoic may feel the initial pang of shock, the physical sensation of fear, but it does not cascade into prolonged anguish or paralyzing panic. Their inner citadel, meticulously built brick by brick through years of dedicated practice, stands firm, an impregnable fortress. This fortress of the mind, constructed from crystal-clear rational judgment, radical acceptance, profound foresight, and an unyielding commitment to virtue, is where true security resides. It is within this sanctuary that we find the ultimate freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of external circumstance, freedom from the often deceptive whispers of our own anxious minds, and the profound capacity to not just survive, but to thrive amidst any storm, no matter how chaotic or terrifying. It is the ultimate testament to the human spirit's power to shape its own reality, regardless of the horrors surrounding it. The Stoic mindset doesn't promise a life free of fear or chaos, but it guarantees that you possess the tools to navigate it, to grow from it, and to maintain your inner peace no matter what the world throws your way. So, as you confront the shadows of fear, the torrents of chaos, and the chilling specters of horror in your own life, remember that you are equipped with an ancient, yet ever-relevant arsenal forged by the greatest minds of Stoicism. Embrace the radical truth of the dichotomy of control, sharpen your ability to examine impressions with relentless honesty, practice the liberating foresight of Premeditatio Malorum, cultivate the profound and transformative acceptance of Amor Fati, anchor yourself in right action and unwavering virtue, and strive to live in deep accordance with your true nature. These are the pathways to Ataraxia, the keys to an unyielding mind, and the tools to forge an indomitable spirit capable of conquering the very abyss of fear. What specific fears or chaotic situations from today's world have challenged your inner peace most significantly? And how might the wisdom of Zeno, Epictetus, Seneca, or Marcus Aurelius empower you to transcend them? Share your insights and personal journeys in the comments below, fostering a community of resilience. If this expansive exploration of Stoic power in the face of fear and chaos resonated deeply with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the Stoic Forge for more profound dives into cultivating inner strength, wisdom, and an unshakable spirit in an unpredictable world. Thank you for joining us on this rigorous journey into the depths of self-mastery. Until our next forging, stand firm, think with profound clarity, and cultivate your truly indomitable inner citadel.